Hello, and welcome to a post MSI edition of Cloud9 Bodied, a Cloud9 fan cast. I'm your host, Havokpus, and I'm joined by Frozencreek, my co-host. How's it going?
Good. Back from our theoretical trip to Iceland, and now it is 90 degrees in Michigan. So I am living a life.
Sun's out, guns out, baby.
Hell
And
yeah.
I hear I'm
Fries out,
for it.
thighs out.
I'm very sensitive to cold, so I like the warmer temperatures because it's like, oh, I don't have to feel miserable constantly, So sure, I'm from the South, and also I'm miserable when it's very hot, because it's humid. But at least it's not cold where I feel like I'm dying constantly.
Well, I feel like that generally, but I'm not sure if that's a weather thing or not.
Who knows? It could be a lot of things. But who else was just dying over the past couple of weeks, Frozen? It's Cloud9 because we kind of bombed out. Rainbow Six was at the sixth invitational, and they did manage to squeak out from the group stage, but they got 2-0'd pretty quickly.
Oh
In the
wow.
lower bracket. So the thing with us is that the APAC is actually kind of a fairly weak region for Rainbow Six. So our team is kind of a big fish in a little pond situation where we're really regionally we're very good and we're very, very strong. But when it comes to playing against internationally, in like international competition, apparently Latin America has really, really good Rainbow Six teams. Because I think like NA and Europe all got knocked out, and I think maybe the sixth invitational was just, I think the top 4 teams were just all Latin American teams. So
Huh.
yeah,
Cool.
it sucks that we got out. Like I watched some of our games because they were kind of going on at the same time as MSI, but I was watching some of the games. We tried, and that's about as much as you can say. But hey, sometimes that just happens. I still like the Rainbow Six team. I think, I don't know what you would really change. I think as long as we're still winning an APAC and are able to go to these types of events and qualify, I think that's, you know, I think that's
Good
about
enough.
all. That's good enough for where our region in Rainbow Six is at. So can't complain.
Yeah. Unless we're going to pick up a Latin American team, I think that's probably
Yeah,
about our probably what we should be happy with.
yeah. Meanwhile, the London Spitfire, we're taking off maps now. Like we're getting individual maps, but we're not closing out with those W's at Frozen. Our head coach left. So
Oh, really? I missed that.
he left literally like I think the day before, if not the day of a match that we had.
Oh, was that Sunday
I
or
think it
Friday?
might have been like Saturday or Friday.
Okay.
That he announced like, "Hey guys, so I'm leaving." Doesn't have anything to do with the team's performance. The assistant coach, whose name escapes me. But they're like,
Huh.
yeah, our the coach that's gonna be stepping up, he's the team is in good hands. I feel that he is fully capable of, you know, coaching the players up. I think, you know, so that's kind of rough. It also doesn't help that we have pretty much one of the worst schedules for the June tournament. We had to play against Florida Mayhem on Friday, and we actually looked really competitive. Like we took it to them. Like it wasn't like an easy win for them, but we still lost. And then we had to play against the Atlanta Reign, which people were saying like if London is going to win, it's going to be against the Atlanta Reign. But they actually kind of also beat the shit out of us. And this
Oh,
like this weekend we had to play against Friday. We're playing against Dallas Fuel. Saturday we're playing against Houston Outlaws. Um, so that's just it's not we don't have a good time. We don't have like an easy schedule or anything. Uh, it's really tough watching the London Spitfire because They,
Yeah.
they have they have flashes of brilliance. I don't know if you watch the games any, but
I haven't watched the most recent ones.
okay. Well, what I've noticed is that they will have moments where they're like, okay, London made a really good play here. They're playing it smart. They're playing it, together. They're looking awesome. And then they just, I don't know if they just can't continue the momentum. I'm not sure that since they're a young, I guess, relative to Overwatch League team, and they just don't have experience playing at an elevated skill cap against stronger players that, they don't know how to continue to play and be more fluid with how they play to adapt to what the enemy wants to do. But then, like, they'll go from playing great to playing awful. And it's just like, what are you doing? Why are we doing this? You know? So it's just, I guess, kind of frustrating. And I guess that comes with the territory of taking a contenders team and then putting them into Overwatch League. We had this kind of with the season 3 squad, which to be fair, I think people were kind of hoping that the season 3 squad would do a little bit better. And the plan also is, we were supposed to just be playing in America, right? So we weren't having to go against all the teams in, Korea and China. But that didn't work out. But so now, you know, I really don't know what London should do and what their strategy is. It's very difficult also because they actually revealed they did like a gameplay stream for Overwatch 2. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't watch it, but I heard about the big news.
So it's really interesting in what they're doing. They kind of move some stats around to where I think DPS has like all DPS has like a certain strong suit. I think they have like a lot of movement speed. I think maybe supports. I can't remember what supports do, but tanks. I think they took away armor, or maybe they gave everyone armor.
And one tank.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
So that's the other.
and they
That's
took
the
took away one tank.
Yeah, that's the other big thing that I wanted to talk about is that they turned it from a 6v6 game into 5v5. And that is kind of a big deal when your esport and your job market is based around having 6 players on a team and fielding 6 players. Now you're down to 5. So a lot of people are kind of maybe out of jobs also, and that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, it is.
And
I
I'm
agree.
yeah, and I mean I'm not sure how if teams knew about this and the players and casters and everyone within Overwatch League knew about this ahead of time that like, hey, Overwatch 2 is going to be having 5v5 instead of 6v6, or maybe there's going to be a 6v6 mode, or I don't know, but it looks like they're going towards to try to make the game more balanced and make it easier to kind of work around. There's just going to be one tank and it's going to be 5v5, so people are going to be out of jobs. How you play around the game is going to
Yeah.
be incredibly different from how Overwatch is. So I mean, London may not have any prospects right now for a little bit, but I can't obviously blame them for not making a lot of moves, especially when the game is changing so fundamentally, right? You don't want to go ahead and dump a bunch of cash on trying to get a competitive roster when the game's going to be completely different in like a couple of years anyway.
Yeah. A and, like, that's not coming out till Overwatch 2 comes out, which I think is not till next year.
Yeah,
But,
I
like,
don't think it's till next year.
I'm assuming contracts have been signed somewhat through this year and next year in some places. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure. As it pertains to London Spitfire, I don't know what you do. I'm not sure how long you stick with this roster. Like, if you're okay with just maybe not winning any games for a season or something, um, and just maybe when Overwatch 2 picks up, maybe try to pick up a better team. Is like it honestly kind of somewhat falls to Cloud9, and how much money does Cloud9 have to spend, and how much do they really care about Overwatch? Because as we saw what happened this year, we tried to go all in on CS:GO and spend a bunch of money. But then immediately we're also like, hey, let's also get this mid laner that costs $11 million. Let's drop a bunch of cash on him. So it could just be if C9's you know business strategies just aren't aligning with Overwatch. Overwatch is going to take a really big far back seat. I would like to see us actually try to invest in a team and be competitive because we were the season one champions and then it's been downhill from there. Like literally, our play has gotten worse and worse each season. So I want to see us be good again, but at the same time, with how Overwatch is doing things, and I think in as a whole, how Blizzard just does business, it may not it may not be worth like investing a whole lot of cash in it. I don't know. I don't know what the revenue return is like for Overwatch League, so I don't know how much money orgs are making for being in the league, um, versus what C9 could stand to if they just pulled out. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, and like I wonder how much like a spot could be sold for too. Like I can't imagine they would recoup their whole what
No, yeah,
$25 million
yeah, yeah,
investment, something like that.
yeah. It was around. I think it was maybe even more than that. I can't remember. Um, no, no. I think the first year was 25, and then I think they jacked it up a bunch in the set for the second season to expand the league. But yeah, I can't imagine them recouping their like all of their losses. I can't even imagine what the demand would be for a spot, considering you know the games landscape has kind of changed. I think Blizzard's how Blizzard kind of handled the game and their esports scene, though it's been better than like Valve and CS:GO and how they have handled their scene and their game. I think they haven't really been doing a good job. Just like look at Heroes of the Storm for example. They just one day just unceremoniously just killed the entire esports scene. They
Yeah,
just
that's
they
true.
sent out an email. No, like no heads up, no nothing. Just like, hey, after this date, no more Heroes of the Storm. And that was as a like a big tournament. I think was building up. Um, so you know, Blizzard doesn't exactly, they don't really handle a lot of their stuff super well. I don't know what the demand for a spot would be. So there's a lot of factors in determining like what you're gonna do with it, with this team and everything. So we'll just have to see. I'm really curious, like what will happen. Like you know, like what? Let's see. We're somewhere in June right now. Probably playoffs are in August. So like at the end of the season, in October, if not like next season in October, to see like what we're really going to be doing with this spot and with these players. So it's going to be something interesting to watch. I don't have a lot of high hopes though. My expectations are super super low.
Yeah, and I wonder what that's going to mean for the future when Blizzard announces a new game at some point and they try to hype up this huge competitive scene.
Yeah, yeah, that's another factor, but we'll have to see. I don't really have anything else for Overwatch. I'm kind of just going in circles. So we can talk about MSI. What did you think as a whole the event was like? Because I think that overall it was a good event. Like I think at least match quality wise, there were a lot of really really good matches, especially in the top four players playoffs bracket.
Yeah, I agree. Overall, it felt like the competitive level was extremely good outside of Group A into the first stage of games.
Yeah, yeah, I
That was
agree.
a bit disappointing,
Yeah, I
but
think a lot of matches were really close. Even with C9 losing a lot of matches and not having the best performance. I've heard that a lot of teams were saying that C9 was a really tough team and they were really hard to beat. And I think every region really did, I think, level up their play. Even though some didn't have the best performances. Like look at the LGL for example. I actually really like watching Detonation Focus Me because they looked like such a stronger team than any LJL team that I've seen before. You know.
yeah, uh-huh. And I I'm I'm hoping that's kind of like a coming out party for LJL.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I'm hoping that a lot of the minor regions they get more looks and they can become more elevated because of how they played at MSI. Because a lot of the teams didn't press. I think that there are teams and players that belong to the I guess sort of minor regions that looked really good, and people were saying like, hey, these guys do have sort of like major region. talent. They can maybe come to NA. They could maybe go to somewhere else. You know, so I'd really like to see more of those players, see more of those teams. But I think the only complaint I really have for MSI is the viewer reward drops were just awful. And I know that's like a
Oh
tiny
yeah.
complaint. The drops were legitimately terrible. A lot of them were either like they were icons or emotes, which is fine, but outside of those, it was a Bose contest entry. And the thing was that you got capped after 7 entries. So every time they dropped after that, the drop was worthless. So you would get the notification that, hey, you have another contest entry, which I can't use, by the way, because I already capped mine out. So it doesn't really feel like my viewership is really being rewarded, and I'm not having I guess like a good viewership experience because I'm not getting anything that feels like, oh well, this is rewarding for watching the group stage. Oh, this is the rewards are better in the Rumble stage. Oh, the rewards are better for the semifinals, for the grand finals. It didn't feel like that. It felt like the drops were very low, almost worthless throughout the entire event, and it just kind of upset me. I know that's a really petty, kind of selfish thing to say, but I was kind of looking forward to like maybe just like some escalation in the quality of the drops as the event kind of went on. Especially for games like the grand finals where it came down to 5 games and just a really intense match. I was hoping that there would be more better drops than what we got.
Yeah, I actually totally forgot about that, and I'm not sure if I actually qualified for anything. Yeah, because I was watching on YouTube, and I don't think I
Oh
saw
yeah.
anything.
Yeah, I was watching it on. I always go to LOL Esports, and I watch the through the Twitch
Oh,
player, and
that
I have my
that would
Twitch
make
account
sense.
linked to my Riot account, so I get the reward drops.
Huh. Yeah, that would make a little more sense, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the only real complaint I have about, I guess, the event as a whole. Cloud9's performance, we have a lot of complaints about.
Yeah, I I feel like it wasn't I don't think that we performed as well as we could or should have, but I really don't think it was, like, outside, of the realm of possibilities. Like, anything from 3 to 6 wins, was always going to be, like, the most likely area,
Yeah.
like, 2 off Pentanet, then maybe split with PSG or Mad, and
Mhm.
while I think 4 or 5 was more likely, um, I really think at the end of the day that we were the 5th best team.
Yeah, I think that the Rumble stage, I think that how we played in the group stage, I think that we went in a really weird route, but it was pretty much how people expected us to play. But I think with the Rumble stage, it's just an accelerated, it's another round robin best of ones. Best of ones is, they've always been kind of janky with, if you make a mistake, you kind of just lose sometimes, and that can really mess up your tournament run because you have to kind of play perfectly in best of ones. Um, I think that even though we did get knocked out in the Rumble stage and we did not play, like score wise, I guess we didn't have a super good time. The quality of our play at times was really good. We were able to be really competitive with Dalmon Kia, with Renegade, with the not Renegades, RNG. With Mad Lions. We were able to show parity and have really close games with the other major regions, which is good. That's kind of where you want to be. I think our one of our biggest problems was just consistency because we would be playing a Rumble stage, we'd have Rumble stage matches for that day. One game we would look picture perfect. That game against RNG, for example, we looked amazing. We looked like we had everything together. We drafted really well. We played absolutely perfectly. We were able to win. You feel like you're on cloud 9, right? Because we played so well. But then we played against what we played against, like PPG, that that next match, and we looked absolutely horrible. And we were just doing the dumbest shit, and we were just making so many mistakes, you know. And I think really consistency was just the thing that we just could not really grab a hold of.
Yeah, and play
Yeah.
Pentanet, right?
Yeah.
That was our day 5. Yeah, and it was extremely disappointing to see the boys come in and like try out almost a completely different draft to, I don't know,
Yeah, I don't know,
test
it was really weird.
to see if they could do it, but it really just felt
Yeah.
kind of weird. Like their first few picks were fine, but they just didn't seem to form a coherent draft that could win
Yeah,
a
and I think
game.
some of the other things were just the champion pills that we were using in MSI were kind of wonky. Like perks looked just really out of sorts on control mages for some reason. Even though in previous years he's looked really good on control mages. He just looks like he just cannot play Orianna or Victor really well at all. So he was struggling with that anytime he was on those. Anytime Blabber wasn't on like a tanky jungler like Udyr or Volibear, he just seemed really well, no, he did Morgana well. Blabber was really weird and just more his decision making. Like he would just do things that's just like, what are you doing? And then, he would just give away kills early in the game and just be like, well, I guess that's game because he just, because he's just, I think he's just used to not getting punished in NA, especially since he really doesn't have a lot of international experience playing on the international stage, like, period. So he's going in, he's doing what he normally would do, which you can't blame him for, but then he gets punished. And I think he just had a lot of trouble adapting to the fact that, hey, maybe you need to play a little bit safer, in these international tournaments, because like the LPL and the LCK and LEC, they will punish you if you make a mistake. It's not like you're playing against Golden Guardians or anything out there. So, I think he struggled with that. But I think that on the bright side, we have to talk about Fudge, because Fudge, he played phenomenally throughout the entire event. I'm talking, I rarely saw him do something that was like a big mistake or just play really poorly. He was always on point. He did some really sick plays, and I think that it shows that Fudge is our guy and that he was able to grow so much from the lock-in tournament in January to now, where he is able to go toe-to-toe with these other, you know, top laners and not just get completely eaten alive.
Yeah, I I I I think he showed a lot of individual skill that we hadn't quite seen from him, but it was like watching prime like yeah, licorice again, like outplaying like team fights and such, like the Lee Sin Q ward hop to avoid the
Oh,
Nautilus.
yeah, that was so that was so
And
sick.
Anger was really sick, and it won us uh it, it won us the game, and I'm not sure we would have won that if he hadn't pulled that off. So
No, it was definitely one of those decider kind of plays.
yeah, and
Um,
I do feel like his laning was subpar still, but like if he can like come back in summer and win lane almost at every game, then I think he's going to be pretty unstoppable.
no, yeah, I think Fudge is fine. He has shut up a lot of doubters. He has shown tremendous growth, and I think that he's also really hungry. He's a young player. He has played in the OC for a few years, so it's not like he's completely inexperienced, but he's playing at a new level, and he is constantly growing, and he is constantly wanting to get better, right? Like every time I see it in an interview, he's talking about like, yeah, I could have laned this better. I could have, in this interaction, I could have maybe like done this instead of what I did in the game, and so he's very critical of his, how he lanes and how he plays, and he's very aware. So I think he's going to be in good hands. I think also our bot lane did a good job. Um, I think Sven's only issues for me were just sometimes he would just have weird positioning errors in fights. And sometimes as an AD carry, you just have to balance that, and it can be hard. But I think Vulcan also a star player for us because he made a lot of really good engages that we needed, and I think his play was also really, really good. So
Yeah.
I
Do
think
you
our bot lane was, I think, a thing that we really needed, and they tried their best, given with the difficulty of competition and sort of our some of our issues that we were having in game.
Yeah, I agree that Vulcan, was, like, a top tier player this tournament. I do think that, knowing what we know now, that bot lane could have did better. Like, knowing that DK's bot lane, was just straight trash in 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 lane, like, we could have done more to punish
Mhm.
them and take early leads, but, like, I don't blame them for not seeing that quite as much during the first group stage and, at the Rumble stage. Like, it happens, but, I think for me, the biggest underperformer, was not Blabber, but Perks. Um,
No, I agree. I think that
his
Perk.
champion pool was garbage. He didn't really play anything well. Victor one game, but that was because we bailed him out by scaling to 42 minutes.
Yeah. We really did. I Yeah, I have to agree. I think that Perks was really the weak link in the chain here. Which I think that, considering how decorated he is and how long he's been playing, we really should hold him to a higher standard. We can't get performances like this, and expect to be fine. I think that, he needs to, I guess do better. Um, I don't really know like what, I can't say what goes on with scrims in practice, but I think that he does need to maybe look at some stuff. Um, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that he was definitely the weak link, like especially on those control mages. When the control mages are meta, you can't play trash on Orianna. You have to be good. You know.
Yeah, er, but there were also other options. Like, he played Victor what, like, 3 times and Orianna once? Like,
Yeah, no,
you can
yeah.
play Silas, you can play Syndra, you could
I think he played Silas one game, and
play
he didn't look good that.
well, Irby won. I think that was the Mad Lions game, right?
I can't remember.
I think it was because I think it didn't matter, and then or maybe it was the PSG Talon game.
I can't
It
remember. I just
it
remember
was
he played
final
Silas,
day.
but then he didn't do well. No, but like yeah, like we need to nail down like what picks he can play in with what Blabber's playing, because I think one of the reasons why he's struggling is that the mid jungle duo is sometimes at odds with each other, because Perks is going to want to do one thing, but Blabber's going to want to do another, and sometimes we're just not. They're just not on the same page, or the picks that we have are not on the same page. So Perks as champions gonna want to need to do one thing, but Blabber's doing a thing that counteracts that, so it just makes things more difficult. And that just might be a draft thing that we need to work on. Um, I will say, maybe one thing that did kind of hold us back was that Rainover was not there. Like for visa issues, he could not leave the country, so he had to remotely coach, which I can only imagine. I can definitely see that being an issue. With the team when your head coach isn't there to help you draft and to kind of discuss like what you guys need to do and everything, right?
Yeah,
So
and drafting.
yeah,
But, like, I don't know, it was just kind of a mess from a drafting yeah, perspective too. Like, the players didn't really, know what to play, and it was just kind of a mess. I think if the jungle meta hadn't changed so much, like, maybe we would have got in that 4 or 5 wins to get us over the hump, not hoop. But I don't know. I'm not, like, sure why they didn't try Blabber on Olaf either. C RNG played a bunch of him through, like, the second rumbles or second day of, like, the rumble stage, and, like, it worked out.
yeah.
So, I don't know. And anything else on MSI?
No, I guess like one last thing is that, I think it's good that we struggled now. It's better to struggle now, find our issues that we were kind of having, and we can come back into the summer season reinvigorated and be like, okay, we have stuff to work on. We have things that we can improve upon, rather than doing what we did last year, skip MSI and have kind of like this sort of long break, go into summer, and then eventually just implode because we just hit a brick wall and didn't know what to really do. So I think now that we at least have things that we can work on, so we can maybe avoid that. Um, and yeah,
Eh, Yeah, I agree. I'm interested to see how they're going to come out of the gate next split because I think every other MSI team has done pretty poorly out of the gate. Like,
yeah.
the
Historically,
summer
that's
split,
been an
yeah,
issue,
yeah,
just
and
because.
summer split starts next week, so they'll have two weeks off.
Yeah, yeah. The issue has always been just you travel to a different country, you do a tournament, screaming people and everything, and then you have to come back and then figure out what what patch you're going to be on and try to pick everything up and get ready to go for summer. So that's always been sort of a disadvantage for anyone that does go to MSI.
Oh yeah, and so the split starts next weekend on Friday. I have to imagine the first match will be Cloud9 Team Liquid since they seem to do that pretty frequently.
Yeah, that's always the first match. Is the first match is always a rematch between the first and second place
Yeah,
teams of the,
so
the last split.
I just want to see us come out of the gate and not fail. So I guess we'll see. I'm not sure if we'll be playing on 11:10 or 11:11. Like 11:11 comes out today because it's going to be Wednesday when this comes out. Um, but I guess we'll just have to see. There hasn't really been any major roster changes either, so there isn't a ton to preview. But I guess we'll be back next week with a preview for Spring Split. There are no schedules out yet, so we don't even know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just wanting to see how we do post MSI, because I think that with how we did, I think the team's gonna be hungry to show that, because you want to go to Worlds now. This is the crunch time where you have to play well, because everyone wants to go to Worlds and they want their ticket. So the teams, I think, is going to be hungry, and they wanna show the world again that, look, we're not gonna have such a hectic time at Worlds. We're gonna learn from this. We're gonna learn from Summer Split, and we can go in and do better. So I'm really looking forward to see what we pull out. I'm also really interested to see, like, if Viego and Gwen are actually going to be available, so we can actually see if teams are going to be playing them, because
Yeah,
they're
I
kind of
have to
broken.
imagine. Yeah, I have to imagine that they will be. But one more thing about summer I just thought of, the standings from last split also count towards summer, so Cloud9 does get a head start.
Yeah,
So that will be good. But yeah, it is crunch time. I would expect to see them drop a game or two where they shouldn't the first couple weeks, but after that, hopefully they can pick right back up to where they were last split.
yeah. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to next week whenever we play, and yeah,
Yeah, I think that's it
yeah, yep.
for this week. We'll be
That's it
back
for
with the
this week.
schedule next week.
Yep. Everyone, thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us at C9 Bodied on Twitter, and we'll see you again next time.
All right, guys. Bye.